Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Manahil, remote job Wali, and I'm from Karachi, Pakistan. I'm thrilled to be your host today. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Ma'am Pia Jansen. Today we have the privilege of delving into remarkable life journey of Ma'am Pia, a true success catalyst, leadership coach, and consultant. With her expertise in guiding executive and sales leaders to achieve excellence, boosting revenue, and leaving to legacy of success, Pia is a force to be reckoned within the world of business and leadership. So, without further ado, let's dive right into this enriching conversation. Ma'am Pia, thank you for joining us today. So, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. So, first of all, please introduce yourself for my viewers.
Yeah, like you mentioned. I mean, I guide leaders to access and reignite their inner goal. That's the bottom line. So I work on the inside, so to speak. So I work with executives and sales leaders and leaders in general that are in small, medium-sized businesses. But it's all about the inside mindset, but also your talents. That's the focus. Your innate talents, what you're born with. So,
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your introduction. So now let's move on to questions. My first question is on your screen. Could you share a brief overview of your experience as a success catalyst and leadership coach?
well, I mean, it's something that I've done since I was a kid. I was often the go-to person, right? So that's how it really started. And then when I got into my, 20s, I started doing a lot of personal development, etc., in exploring body, mind, soul, heart, as I like to say. And and then as I started working as well, I often was someone that people came to for advice, leaders, etc., right? So um, several years back in 2016 or so, I started a program at the workplace that I was at where I put them through a coaching program, for 3, 4 months or so, where everything shifted from where they were when they started and to the results that they achieved, not only internally but externally. So sales was increased, people were confident, they knew their value, etc. So that's kind of like the core of what you kind of get in the conversation. There's a lot of strategies individual to the person that I'm, talking to, right? So it could be a lot of business strategies in addition to focusing on what your goal is, so to speak. So I keep referring to that. So your talents is how you approach everything. So let's say, are you good at talking to people, right? So you invest more time in talking to people. If you're good at analyzing things, you create strategies around that. That makes sense to you? I think you froze. There you are.
All right, ma'am. I can hear you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer. So now my next question is, how do you typically help executive and sales leaders in SMBs resonate with team excellence and boost revenue?
Yeah, so that's very similar to what I was just mentioning, right? So when I start coaching with someone, you assess what, first of all, they need help with. Because when it's a one-on-one, then, it's all situational. But it's still, I bring in, and, I worked with several assessments and one in particular. So that's used as a foundation just to quickly tap into what their inner goal is. And then we apply that to the strategies that we need to, inquire into or what we need to achieve. But it starts with an inquiry within first on really getting to know yourself from a different perspective, and then using that gold to then step into your leadership role, and because you, in the process of it, you really get the value that you bring, right? But you also get the value that other people bring. So you create teams from a different perspective. So that's part of the reignition, if you will, because when you can see people having value and having talents where you don't, then all of a sudden people that maybe you didn't like working with before, you see that they have value and that they can do things for you, where you can kind of trade services, if you will, or you can delegate things as a leader to people, even if it's not in their position to do that specific, task, but you can do it as a side project, right? So it's all about lifting people up, and so that you do what you're best at and learn to delegate what you're not good at. So even as a leader, you don't have to know everything. You have to tap into your team. So that's kind of part of the process. So um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's like on a top level. What we cover. Your sound has gone, just so they know, but I see the question on the screen. Well, when I first took the Clifton Strengths Assessment, as it's called, it's by Gallup. Um, I it changed. It explained everything. At the time there was a lot of turmoil in the company that I was with, and my number one strength was all about building deep relationships with people. So I was in conflict because we were like you know, in a situation where people were laid off, people were not happy at work. So it triggered me, it was like a lot of stress as it was. So when I saw that one, I was like, oh, wow, that's why. So, you get a lot of self awareness. At that time, they didn't have a coaching course or certification program. That came years later. And I had retaken the assessment at that time and revealed all talents. There's a total of 34 on this particular assessment. In the beginning, I only took the five, that's our strongest talents, but we also have other strong talents that are revealed further down the ranking. And when I saw the lineup there with my talents, I saw like, wow, I have to be certified as a coach because this is what I'm meant to do. Because all my talents kind of supported that. So I became a Gallup-Certified Strengths Coach in 2016. And as I mentioned earlier, I started creating programs and offering that to coworkers, and we had amazing results and transformations. There's always big transformations because the focus is on, and the basis of this foundation as a whole or assessment is what would happen if you focus on what's right about people instead of what's wrong, right? So often people focus on, oh, you're not good at this, you need to improve on this, instead of doing like you do in sport. You're really good at this. Let's focus more on that. So, like you are doing a lot of interviews, if you love interviewing and you think it's really fun and you get very energized afterwards, then that's something that you have a talent in. If you like asking questions and meeting a lot of new people, and even though you have other businesses and stuff that you want to do, you could utilize that talent of interviewing people and grow as a person and have fun in the process. um, ultimately it's about being yourself. So that assessment helps it. But then there's many other things, looking at your experience, what you like doing, your skills, your education, etc. But to leave a legacy, it looks different for everyone, right? It's kind of like success. What is success? For some people, it is, to have a big circle of friends. For other people, it's making $1 million or making $100 million or being a billionaire or what have you. So it's the strategies are all built around what is it how do you define legacy? What is important? And often it is about making an impact in one way, especially with the leaders that I work with, because they're heart centered, as I said. They care about their people. So for them, leaving a legacy is about creating teams that thrive, where people are happy, because when people are happy, they will perform and they will sell more, so to speak, and be more productive. There will be innovation, ideas, etc. And ultimately, that as a leader leads to leaving a legacy and also hitting sales and revenue targets, which is important because that's how the leader is measured, on revenue targets or sales being hit, right? Otherwise, they stand a chance of losing their position. And if they do that, then they can't leave a legacy there. So, but leaving a legacy is often also like, how do you leave people feeling after you interact with them? So you can leave a legacy from that, like, oh man, that person was always, I felt so good when I was around them, right? So it will vary on the person. So that strengths assessment is used as a guide because that's where you can determine, even before that, but when you get the when you see also what your talents are, they add a layer to things that you've been doing that you haven't necessarily seen before or thought about, because it's in your blind spot. So that's when you can inquire, like, what's important. I ask a lot of questions to help people see what is it that is important for this legacy. What is the legacy that you want to create? So there's not like a one answer, there's several, depending on the individual.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answer. So now you can hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, as a consultant, what types of challenges or projects do you usually take on? How do you approach them?
Well, again, I mean, it's not like a one answer kind of thing. It depends on what you're doing. So often my projects tend to be related to what I did professionally. So with one company that I consulted, I was helping them put together and manage a big seminar, so to speak, that had many people and many moving pieces. So there were, speakers. There was an exhibit hall. There were like all kinds of stuff, courses, etc. So what I did as a profession for many years was to manage um, many areas within marketing and sales support. So I would manage events, like sales events or symposiums. There would be exhibits, as an exhibitor, but managing, the company's role there. Education, when we had CE, continuing education credits. So I would manage that with setting up the program, talking to the speakers, etc. Graphic design is something that I've done for many years, but mostly what people hire me for is helping to strategize. So I see everything that I've done. I've been a product manager, project manager, I've been marketing director, I've been, sales support, which is all about interacting with people to strategize. So everything comes down to one person talking to another person. When there's a sale, this life, as I see it, it's a game of sales, right? We connect. You and I are talking. It's not about sales per se. It's about building relationships with people. And when you build relationships, you create trust. And when you create trust, then, you can propose things eventually, because it's an authentic kind of conversation to just like, I hear you talking about this. Would this be something that you're interested in? I could help you, or I know someone that could help. Would you be interested in that? It's all the way, it's not about pushing or pitching. It's about being just open to having a conversation. Since this is the form of conversation, it's about, you know, having a dialogue, right? Like you are doing with your podcast here is you're expanding your horizon and getting insights from all these people that you're interviewing that you wouldn't have if you were just talking to your friends, right? But even your friends have a lot of gold to offer you, and especially all your friends that are interviewing because they get insights and then you can share and learn. Yes.
Yes, all right. So now move on to next questions. My next question is, could you share a success story or memorable experience from your career that illustrate that impact of your coaching and consulting services?
Oh, there are several. There's always one guy that I bring out, so I'm not going to do him today. I had one guy where everything changed because often everything changes in every area of life, right? If you're not happy at work, it impacts your home environment, if you will, how you feel off work. Um, sometimes it can be simple things like on this journey with one guy, he had a talent that he was like, oh, but this is, people always say that this is what I contribute. And then the talent showed something different. And we got into a conversation about you can contribute, like you can be strategic from different points of view, for instance. You can be it from your mind, you can be it from your heart, you can be it by doing stuff, and you can do it by just influencing people with your energy, so to speak, right? And we had a lot of different conversations throughout, the journey, where as he got in touch with, his gold, as I call it, like his talents, he got like a big understanding of what he brought, and that situations where he would be, not saying anything, but he would just listen to people, that was actually a talent that he would provide the space for people to have conversations by not talking, by not stirring the water. And he embraced that as something that was really good and not bad. At the end of the day, he ended up changing, breaking up with the girlfriend that he had, and accessing dreams that he had forgotten. And today he lives the life with, the love of his life, and he's happy and doing exactly what he wants to do instead of, not feeling like he was fitting in, maybe, or, that he was like different than everyone else. And now he has found a path where every area of his life um, is fulfilled. So, his version of success, right? He's living that. I don't know if that makes sense. That's it.
Yes, all right. So
Okay.
in today's dynamic business landscape, what trends or changes do you think are most important executives and sales leaders to stay aware of?
Well, one trend that never goes away, and I keep going back to that, is relationships, right? So some of the most successful leaders that I've worked with, been in contact with, known over the course of my life, some of them have been bosses or coworkers. Some of them are people that I've met through a variety of courses. And what they all have in common is that they care about people. So if you care about your people as a leader, and you build trust and you listen to your people and ask for feedback, you allow them to help and contribute, meaning that you delegate and then you allow them to create whatever they need to create to get the outcome, right? Because the only thing you need to focus on is like, this is the result, this is the deadline. How you do it can be different, right? There's not one path, there's multiple paths. And that's what talents is all about, right? These talents are all about how you create the success, and that will be individual. So if you allow people that freedom to contribute, to really listen to them, to have frequent conversations with them, that's when there's like a win-win and on every level. And that's also how you create an engaged, company, for instance, right? So it's super important. So that's a trend that never goes away. Many companies nowadays, they will look at just data, but the number never tells the full story. Yes, it can say that, yes, that person didn't sell or that company didn't perform as well, but no one knows what was going on behind the scenes, why that number is the way it is. There could be a multitude of things happening. So I think it always comes back to having a conversation with people. That is you can, wars can be stopped because you have a conversation, right? So I always see that that's what it's all about. As long as you can have open conversations, you can have different opinions, but as long as you can have a conversation and just hear each other, it's not about convincing anyone else. It's just about being heard. And then as a leader, your role is to obviously, take in what fits with your vision, right? If it's things that you think like, oh, this one will not work, maybe you do it, or maybe you allow that person to do a project to, to just, what can I say? It's not even encourage, but sometimes it's like allow people to do it. If there's not a lot of cost involved and they can still do their job, so to speak, allow them to explore. They might surprise you. So that's that's a trend that never will go away. So I think numbers, if we didn't have the computers, and I lived in a time when we didn't have computers, and it was all about building strong relationships. And that's the thing that always warms your heart is having great friends, right? Even in business.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your very interesting answer. So now let's move on to next questions. My next question is, what advice would you give to someone aspiring to excel as a leadership coach and consultant in the business world?
Invest in yourself, number one. It may seem fluffy, it may seem woo woo, and why would I do that? But when you invest, the biggest gift you can give yourself is self-awareness of where you excel and where you don't excel, and building then teams or friendships or a network where you have support in the areas where you're not good, right? I know that you probably have a fiber business like the other students. So there's skills that you have that you can contribute that someone that has no graphic design ability can do. And it's like they're going to sit like this. Oh no, I don't want to do this, right? Having people that can help you with that, it's a win-win. You get to contribute and I get to not do that thing, right? So I guess that's what I would say about that.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing this. So my next question is, can you explain your role as an AI-based coach and how you assist business in leveraging artificial intelligence?
Well, I mean, it's the that's one of the trends right now, right? There's all this hoopla about AI and how bad it is, and I think we all have to use our own awareness. Fact is that AI has been around for a long, long time. With even in emails, when we type emails, there's like machine learning, if you will. I love what this opens up. I use ChatGPT mainly, and I see that as a wonderful brainstorming tool. But the thing is, with using this, the limitation is always going to be you, so to speak, right? So, and you can use it in so many different ways. I tend to use it with creating my own content and then getting feedback, getting help, extracting information, etc. So that's how I will, how I use it if I'm coaching someone and they have a need to, flesh out their mission, vision statement, certain strategies, just teaching them how they can use this tool for themselves, but how it can help them get clear. So there's so many different things you can do. Like when you're first starting a business, no matter what type of business it is, you always have to get clear on like who's your ideal client, the demographics, what do they do, what do they like, all those kind of things is something that you can get help with fast by using AI. So I use it more like as a strategy tool, if you will. And then I use Midjourney, for instance, to create images, which is super fun to do. But that's, the level I use it is to use it for banners and, to get, banners to my blog posts, let's say. But for me, it's all about in all of this of just being in integrity, like not using it to misuse, not using it to pretend to be something that you're not. I think it's super important to explore topics that you actually know something about, because otherwise, because then you know what gets created, that it's actually true and correct. Because if you're using it to spread content without research, so to speak, or knowing about it, you can go down a slippery slope, so to speak, right? So, but when it's something that you getting it, brainstorming is what I find is like an invaluable tool to just test your ideas, if you will. Yeah.
All right, great answer. And by the way, I also use ChatGPT and Midjourney.
So how do you use them?
Yes,
How do you use them, Anahil?
ChatGPT and Midjourney for school work, and Midjourney I use personal.
Yeah, and it's fun, right?
Yes. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answers and for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. Your journey from being a success catalyst and leadership coach to becoming Gallup-certified strength coach and AI-based coach is truly inspiring. It's clear that your dedication to helping SMBs achieve excellence and your passion for leaving a lasting legacy of success have made a significant impact on the business world. We will learn so much from you today, and your words of wisdom are sure to resonate with our audience. As we come to the end of our conversation, we'd like to express our sincere gratitude uh, for your time and expertise. To our audience, thank you for joining us as well. We hope you found this interview with the Pia Janset as enlightening and insightful as we did. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Manahil. Great
It's
question.
my it's my pleasure. So, bye. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Bye.